The calls can be ridiculous. They just call in at all times on the day. They just want the money. They don't care what time they call you, how many times, they try to act like they're your friends or family. Hey, Kiana.
How much money are we talking about? Was it $5,000, $6,000?
I would say I probably was like $40,000 in credit card debt.
Shortly after her divorce in 2020 was the beginning of Kiana Blake's debt downfall.
I was trying to figure out how to navigate what was mine, what was his. We separated and I went from 2 incomes to 1, but just about the same amount of bills. So they just started calling me. So I had so many cards that I had like an Excel spreadsheet. If it's highlighted, it was a credit card that I was trying to work on paying off. But the interest rate, like the lowest one on here is like 22%, 27% interest rate is crazy. Clearly I signed up for it, but definitely crazy. I had track of what my balances was, what my payments was, and when they were due, and it was kind of in order. Because how else would I manage it? It was so many.
Mentally, what does that do to you when you're getting, especially the aggressive ones, the kind of threatening debt collector calls?
I would say it stresses you out. It almost makes you, kind of want to comply. More aggressive ones, you probably tend to pay first because, they're going to call you.
Blake is not alone. Millions of Americans face mountains of debt, which, when unresolved, lead to nonstop calls from debt collectors. And while legitimate debt collectors have the right to call, experts tell us many still blur the line on what's ethical versus harassment. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, or FDCPA, makes it illegal for debt collectors to harass or threaten you when trying to collect on a debt. For example, collectors can't generally do things like threaten violence, use obscene language, or repeatedly call someone with the intent to annoy them. When Blake needed assistance, she turned to Naomi Peden, the senior housing counselor with Money Management International. It helps consumers like Blake to resolve and manage their debt.
Well, it can be very deceitful. The first thing that I always tell people is initially, before you make any arrangements, any agreements with anybody, you ask them to send you validation of the debt in writing. I'm not talking to you. I'm not going to engage in any kind of conversations with you until I can validate.
Debt collection reports from the Federal Trade Commission show that calls are surging, from 219,000 in 2024 to over 278,000 so far this year. That's around 27%. And 41% of consumers reported receiving calls for debt they did not owe, or found the calls were abusive and threatening.
They think that because the person is coming off aggressive, they feel threatened. They feel like I have to make the decision at this moment. And that's just really not the case.
The stress of owing also leaves the door open for bad actors to swoop in, taking advantage of debt and the anxiety surrounding it. InvestigateTV combed through 15,000 consumer complaints made to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, dating back 10 years, about frequent debt collection calls. We found most of the complaints surrounded credit cards, medical debt, auto, and payday loans. One person wrote in part, "They call from an unknown number and then a normal number and then a blocked number again to make it seem like it's not them." Another stated, "Over the span of 2 weeks, I received 26 calls to my cell phone from a debt collection company. I do believe it is considered harassment. I would like the calls to stop and to pursue legal repercussion in regards to this harassing behavior."
I think under CFPB rules, more than 7 in a week is considered excessive.
Danny Karen is a consumer attorney, law professor, and author. He's had his own battle fighting with debt collectors in the courtroom and recently settled a case for $7.5 million dealing with these exact problems.
When does it become illegal?
It's illegal when a debt collector crosses the line, when they do certain things that the FDCPA says they can't do. They call earlier than they should, they call after they should. They threaten, they lie, they say the debt is worth more than it is. They say they're going to sue you. Certain ugly things that border on harassment or are harassment are things that often check or trigger the FDCPA and can trigger a federal case.
After nearly 3 decades in the industry, Karen says what consumers need to know the most is that they have rights.
Debt collectors can come after you. They just have to act legally and work within the guardrails. There's no problem with a debt collector pursuing a debt, and if you have a debt, you ought to pay it. Or if you can't pay it, work out a payment plan. But it's when the debt collector crosses the line, or I shouldn't say debt collector, the third party on behalf of the debt collector crosses the line is when you get into FDCPA issues.
So how are things right now, Kiana? Are things looking up? How are they right
I
now?
would say things are definitely looking up from about 40,000 to probably like 13,000. So I should have that paid off in the next year or so.
That's a tremendous difference.
I mean, my credit is higher than it's ever been. It's over 700, which is a blessing.
She's ditched the spreadsheet and now has words of inspiration sprayed throughout her home, reminding her that just because you're in a financial hole doesn't mean you can't climb out of it.
And have the calls stopped?
Absolutely, because I'm not behind on anything. My credit score is over 700, so it's like no reason to call me.